Alright guys, welcome to Organic Chemistry and Introduction to OChem. OChem is the little short name that college students and people in the industry like to use to define organic chemistry. Now, before we get started, let's just talk a little bit about the organic chemistry, right? The word organic, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to all of us? And we always see this word organic, like organic foods and stuff like that. But in science, the word organic means the thing that is living or has once lived. So an organic food that you see labeled organic foods that you see labeled organic foods are basically organic because it's living or has lived. Let's see, what else is organic? Plastics are organic because plastic is a byproduct of the oil and gas industry, which oil, we all know, is a fossilized living matter or fossilized matter, so matter that once lived. So that is organic. And so organic chemistry is such a big branch of chemistry. And I love it because when we understand organic pathways, that means the reactions, whether it's biochemical pathways or synthetic pathways to make stuff like drugs or medicine, or even like the Haber process, all these organic pathways and reactions. Once we understand these pathways and reactions, we can do like really cool stuff like find cures for diseases, or make our food last like forever, and it's like awesome, you know. You can even manipulate things to make food look and taste better. It's such an amazing feeling. Now, when we talk about organic chemistry, most people will relate organic chemistry as hydrocarbons. That means hydrogen bonded with carbon, hydrocarbon. But in fact, organic chemistry is much bigger than that. It also includes non-metallic elements such as nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, the halogens, and the whole enchiladas. It's a huge field, and it gets really deep. And even 2 years of chemistry in college not be enough. All right, but let's talk about what organic molecules behave in a system. Most organic molecules have huge covalent bonds. That means the elements, the non-metallic elements, come together and share the electrons in a bond or interaction called covalent bonds, right? But when you talk about interactions between two different molecules of chemicals, organic molecules will also have an interaction called the van der Waals interaction, which is one of the weakest type of interactions. It is usually between two molecules of similar properties or electronegativities, and whereby when they come close together, there is some sort of gravitational or electrostatic interaction, but it's nothing that is too solid, which this interaction can be easily separated, right? And finally, different organic molecules may experience an interaction called hydrogen bonds, in which the negative part of one molecule will interact with the positive part of another molecule. In interaction, they call a hydrogen bond. It's stronger than a van der Waals interaction, but it's weaker than a covalent bond. All right. Now that we've got what sort of interactions organic molecules undergo, let's talk about the four main constituents of organic chemistry. First, we start off with the hydrogen element. Hydrogen has one valence electron. So when it forms a bond, it forms a single bond, a single covalent bond when another electron is shared with the hydrogen's electron. All right. Hydrogen also experiences hydrogen bonds when it is close to something partially negative, such as oxygen. Right? It may also experience van der Waals with carbon of another element. Okay? This oxygen is of another molecule, not element, molecule. All right? Carbon is one of the most versatile elements on this planet, simply because of its 4 valence electrons. These 4 valence electrons allows carbon to be very versatile. Now, carbon can form 4 separate single bonds. This full bonding configuration is something chemists will call saturated. That means you cannot add another element into this carbon atom to form new bonds. It can only form a maximum 4 separate single bonds. All right? Now, carbon, being very versatile, can also form a double bond with 2 single bonds, or it can form a double bond and another double bond. Carbon, being very versatile, can also form a triple bond and a single bond. Now, double bonds or triple bonds are what, if it's in the chemical structure or formula, chemists will call these unsaturated hydrocarbons. Unsaturated means you can break this double bond or break the triple bonds, and you can put new elements onto the carbon atom. Okay? And we'll talk about this process in our alkenes and alkynes lesson. All right? Now, when you talk about a hydrocarbon molecule and another hydrocarbon molecule, when you put the 2 of them together, they will have no other kind of interactions because they are all relatively content. But when you draw 2 masses together, there will be a sort of gravitational pull or small interaction. And so carbon can experience van der Waals interaction. Okay? The Waals interaction with itself or with hydrogen. And now we're going to go to nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 valence electrons, and it can form 3 single bonds. It can also form a double bond and a single bond, or it can form a triple bond. That's what nitrogen can do. And oxygen, having 6 valence electrons, can form 2 single bonds, or a double bond. And oxygen, having these lone pairs of electron, and also the ability to somewhat attract electrons to itself can become partially negative, which allows it to hydrogen bond with slightly positive charge elements of another compound with like hydrogen to form hydrogen bonds. Alright, so now you get a brief picture of types of interaction that these four atoms can form. And this will be an important baseline or foundation when we start talking about biochemistry or biological or synthetic pathways, or when you make a reaction in the lab or in the hood. And these will come into play at a later stage, but it also will allow this bonding nature also allows us to name the compounds that we are working with. And so it brings us to a short introduction of the nomenclature of organic chemistry. Now, the nomenclature of organic chemistry is different than what we have studied for inorganic chemistry, which is the chemistry they teach at high school and first year level in college. And so organic chemistry has its own set of rules. When the carbon there's only one carbon in that molecule, that carbon will have the word meth on it. When that element or functional group has two carbon atoms, you will have the prefix eth onto it. If it's three carbons or on the element or the functional group, you will have the word prop on it. 4, but, 5, pent, 6, hex, 7, hept, 8, 9, 10. These are all prefixes that will allow us in naming complex or simple organic molecules. Alright? And another important part about organic chemistry are its functional groups. Functional groups allows scientists and chemists to predict what will happen to it, or if anything does happen to it when you put it into a reaction vessel, or you swallow something, or eat something, and it will allow us to predict what may happen based on several properties, chemical properties. And so the functional group plays an important role. There are lots of organic chemical functional groups, but we're just going to talk about a few. And really in the next couple of lessons, we're just going to focus on that very niche group, okay? When the whole molecule has only single covalent bonds, like C and C, then the whole molecule will have the suffix "ane" attached to the name of the organic molecule. If it has a C double bond, then the name will have to function. The name will have "ene" in the chemical name. If it has C triple bond, then the name will have the "ene" in its name. OH means that the thing is an alcohol. COOH, C double bond OH, means that it's a carboxylic acid, and so it will have the name oic acid. We'll talk about how we're going to use these names later, but I'm just going to briefly introduce this to you. C double bond OH is an aldehyde, so all aldehydes will have names of all, and ketones, which are C double bond O attached to functional groups, other groups on both sides, will end with the name O. NH2, ammonia or amino, so it will end with the name amine. Then SH will end in the name of thiol. Now in IGCSE, we're basically going to focus on this, the anes, the enes, the ols, and the oic acids. So in the next lesson, we're going to talk about how to name alkanes and some of its properties.